Alright, so I've had a request from, a few people saying, can you review your bike? So that's what I'm going to do today. I've only had it for about 2 months now, and I've only been riding a month and a bit. But I'll just give you sort of my first impressions and what I think about it. So here's a 125, it's a 4-stroke air-cooled carburetted bike. Here you can see. The reason why I got one of these sort of styles is just because everything's just open and, it's really easy to work on. Whereas on my RS50, because it's sort of sports, if you want to do anything you had to take all the fairing off, which was, another whole job that you needed to do. But first thing, I'd say looks. It does look pretty good for a 125, I think. It was originally red, but the previous owner sprayed it black, obviously. So yeah, I do like the look of it. It is sort of a mix between a sort of trials bike and a little bit of a commuter, but it's not really one or the other. It's sort of, a city cross. But I do like the sort of style, and the seating position is really good. So if I sit on it now, it isn't too high as I thought it would be, but here you can see I'm really comfortable, easily flat-foot it with quite a lot to spare. So if I was, a bit shorter, got enough room to move. So it isn't really too bad for shorter people. It's just might be a little bit of an issue, but it's not too bad. So the handling off the bike is really good. As you can see, I have got new tyres on it, Pirelli Sport Demons. And if you have a look at the difference in width, the front is tiny compared to the rear, which is, quite wide for a 125. So sort of acceleration and top speed wise, it isn't the best for top speed. I've got about 75 going down that hill down there, and that's, fully tucked, max revs. So it doesn't like to do that. It likes to do sort of 50, 55 fairly comfortably, and then 60, 65 at quite a big push, and then only like 75 down a big hill. But the sort of advantage is acceleration's really good. At the moment I've got the 17-tooth sprocket in there, which is just 1 tooth larger than what I had originally, and the stock is a 15. So it does take a little while to pick up, but when it does, it is, quite good. I am considering just going back to my 16-tooth now, as I was going along here today and it did feel like it slipped a little. So it is a bit too big for what I need it for, like going up hills and sort of my sort of ride. But other than that, it's all good. The engine is nice, easy to do stuff on. I'm planning on doing my valve clearances soon, as it does sound like it's ticking a little. But other than that, it's all easy to do. I'll probably do my oil change next year, and that's pretty much it. So I have fitted a box to it. It does come with a rack normally, but I had to buy my own, and that just bolts onto the bottom up there. One thing I've noticed is that it does rattle loose quite a lot, especially when I've got all my locks and chains in there. So that's just one thing to note. I'm probably going to take it all apart and put some Loctite on there just to keep it in. So the brakes, fairly good. They're not, the best, but they do stop you. So yeah, they're alright. Other than that, the things that's been done to it is there's a cone filter in there, as you can see, and also the Yoshimura exhaust. I have currently got the baffle in, just because I was just going to try it out, see what it felt like. Now I'm just going to take up the road so you can sort of see it in action. So as you can see, it does pull nicely. It would be a little better with my 16 tooth sprocket back on, but is alright for now. So it ticks over nicely. Only issues I've had so far is just the carburetor. I had a bit of fuel in it, or a bit of dodgy dirt or something like that, that caused it to sort of block and then cut out. So when I was riding it just died. But other than that, it's been alright. It has started all the time, even though when I first got it, it did take a bit of going, as it was sat for like a month and a bit. This is an 09 bike, so it is fairly old. However, the mileage is quite low, 2,000, you know, probably 800-ish. So it's alright, and I got it for an okay price. Maybe I paid a little bit too much. I paid just over £900, and I had a look on eBay, and it was the same year, just, you know, 5,000 miles for 850. So if you're looking for one, maybe look around sort of the 700, 750 mark, and that's sort of, you know, a good sort of standard price. It has got all the standard controls, high beam, low beam, horn, indicators, but the horn is pretty awful. It does sound, you know, it's not a nice horn. So I'll do a bit of a sound test now. So it does pop a lot with the Yoshimura exhaust, even with the baffle in. I've got a feeling that it actually pops a bit more with the baffle. Not really sure why, maybe it's just got a bit more back pressure, but it does have a nice sort of sound to it. So I've also fitted these little mirrors, as I wasn't really a fan of the large mirrors. I didn't actually ride with them, but just having mirrors up like that, I don't know, it's just sort of the look for me. These were intended to be bar end mirrors. However, my bar ends have this weird little notch here, so you can't really get into it. So it does struggle a little bit to actually pull, and that is because I've got the larger sprocket. So it does, you know, slip the clutch quite a lot. But overall, the gear change is not too bad. It's fairly smooth, as in like going up gear, but it is a little bit clunky. Just sort of the sound of it is. But I guess that is because it is a fairly old bike, and I'm not really sure how many oil changes or that sort of thing has been done to it. Now, speedo is in mainly kilometres, so when you're riding at night, only kilometres is shown. So that can be a little bit annoying, but once you've sort of gotten used to it, you'll know what like 50 kilometres is 30. On some years, they do have a tachometer or rev counter there, so that is quite nice to have. And one thing I did notice is if you look down here, you'll see the foot peg is really small, sort of the area you put your foot on. So to put it on, the first thing I was doing, I kept slipping off. And I kept thinking like my boot's gonna keep getting sort of scrunched in there, but after you've ridden a few times, you know, it's not too bad. If I was asked, do you recommend this bike? I'd definitely say yeah. It's not the greatest, and it isn't, you know, that flashy, but it's cheap, does the job. And it doesn't sound too bad. Insurance on this bike isn't too bad either. It's about sort of 300, 350, depends on the cover you get. But it is much better than some other bikes like the Yamaha YZF. Insurance is just crazy. Sort of a mix between how sort of fast it can go, engine, how likely it is to be stolen, obviously price. So this is a nice cheap way of getting around. One fairly big disadvantage is that the tank is actually really small. It's about 8 litres and then 1.5 reserve, and that means you can't actually go on, you know, long journeys without having to refuel quite a few times. For me, I go to college every day, which is about 20 miles each way. Sorry, 20 miles every day. And that sort of means I have to top up at least like twice a week. Instead of being like a normal sports light tank and all being up here, where you think all of this is, it's actually just a really long sort of tube that goes under your seat as well. So I guess it sort of evenly distributes it. The stock tyres are pretty awful. you don't have any traction at all, so that's why I've got these new ones. But the stock tyres are nice and good for off-roading. So if you have a look at my other video called like green lane and off-roading, something like that, you'll see it does cope fairly well. Obviously it does slip around a bit, it's not like a motocross bike, but the stock tyres will be good if you're planning on doing like a mix between the two. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and if you do have any questions, feel free to comment or let me know, message me, and I'll be happy to help.